Geographically speaking, the province of Alberta is big. Really big. Ireland could fit inside this one province roughly 8 times. And when you have that much space full of a lot of people connected in a lot of different ways, you can't sit back and hope that the scales balance out. You need to manage the landscape. And to do that, you need a plan. In parts 1 and 2 of Footprint, we looked into the declining trends in caribou populations in Alberta and the cumulative effects that our activities have on the landscape. Now, let's shift our focus for part 3 to look at one strategy we can use in order to manage for cumulative effects on that landscape. We do this in part through a process called regional planning. Regional planning focuses on how we can achieve a healthy environmental foundation to support our economy while considering the connection and values people of Alberta have with the landscape. Regional planning is part of a comprehensive management system that sets direction for environmental, social, and economic outcomes at a regional scale. Additional planning can occur at the local level to consider industrial footprint, recreation, and other activities in support of achieving these desired outcomes. Other components of this comprehensive management system include policies, such as environmental management frameworks, best practices, approval conditions, audits, and enforcement. Perspective is key to managing cumulative effects, and regional plans present one opportunity for gaining this perspective. However, managing for cumulative effects also takes place at provincial and local scales. This includes looking back in history, understanding current conditions, and anticipating future states. This also means understanding our relationship with this land by looking at it from a bird's eye view and ground level, boots on the ground. Scott Duguid, Executive Director of Land Use Secretariat, will explain the history and principles behind planning at a regional scale.
In response to Alberta's remarkable growth in the early and mid-2000s, the Alberta government started a comprehensive initiative to develop a new land use planning system for the province. The Land Use Framework was introduced in 2008 as a new approach to managing lands and natural resources in Alberta and ultimately achieve the province's long-term economic, environmental, and social goals. The Land Use Framework set out to achieve 3 provincial outcomes in Alberta: a healthy economy, supported by our land and natural resources, a healthy environment with healthy ecosystems, and people-friendly communities with ample recreation opportunities. Land use plans are designed to be a 50-year vision for the region based on these 3 provincial outcomes.
Let's take a look at the Livingston Porcupine Hills area. This area is valued by Indigenous peoples who have forged and continue to cultivate a deep appreciation and understanding for the land that spans millennia. It's also a place where many Albertans can escape for recreational opportunities and where a number of endangered and threatened species call home. It's also a landscape that supports a variety of timber, energy, agriculture, and other resource development operations. One way we inform management plans is through our understanding of sensitive species and habitats. The West Slope cutthroat, for example, is the only native subspecies of cutthroat trout in Alberta. These fish are sensitive to water quality and temperature change, and as a result, serve as an indicator of watershed health in the Livingston and Porcupine Hills areas. To put this all into perspective, these watersheds also provide drinking water for many southern Albertans. The decline in the cutthroat population indicated to us that we needed to look into understanding what was driving this change and what we might be able to do to reverse it. It was determined that more deliberate management of motorized access, such as roads and recreational trails, along with other key strategies, would be helpful in improving water quality and landscape resilience in the watershed, while protecting fish and wildlife species at risk. These long-term plans, called the Livingston Porcupine Hills Footprint and Recreation Management Plans, include strategies such as installing bridges over water crossings and stabilizing stream banks in order to protect species like the West Slope cutthroat trout and to achieve a healthy and functioning shared landscape benefiting all people living in Alberta. Every sector and every person puts a certain degree of stress on the environment. In order to balance the economic, social, and environmental pressures, we need to understand the connections that people have with the land. This requires engaging with multiple sectors and communities such as Indigenous peoples, municipalities, landowners, recreationists, industry, agriculture, and non-governmental organizations, so we can all work together to make sure that decisions that affect future generations are well informed. Footprint is a 5-part video series about how we manage our impact on the land. As we learned in this video, ongoing engagement and consultation across multiple sectors and communities is an important part of the regional planning process. Join us in Part 4, where we discuss working together to incorporate different types of knowledge to inform the relationship we have with the land now and in the future. This video is Part 3 of a 5-part series to help introduce, build awareness, and understanding for some land use and environmental management topics. We encourage you to learn more about how we can better manage our footprint by visiting the Government of Alberta website at www.alberta.ca.